good afternoon to one and all present over here, all the participants. Respected Chairman Sir Shri Parveen Garg, Engineer Jinesh Garg, Secretary ISFCP, Moga, Dr. Muskan Garg, Director ISFAL, Dr. G.D. Gupta, Director ISF College of Pharmacy, Dr. R.K. Narang, Vice Principal ISFCP, all HODs, faculty members, and my dear friends and my dear students. Today, we have a well-known nutritionist, Ms. Poonam Duneja with us. I welcome you, ma'am, on behalf of entire ISFCP family. As we all know that India is celebrating 75 years of independence through Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. So, Institutions Innovation Council of ISF College of Pharmacy is conducting various events through various experts. We all are aware that in a couple of days, International Women Day is also approaching. So here we have invited dietitian Poonam Duneja to please enlighten us with and our students with her valuable thoughts. So once again, I welcome you, ma'am. Let me take this opportunity to introduce Madam Poonam Duneja. She is currently Director of Nutrifybypoonam, Delhi, and she has been, she's a Delhi State President of Food and Nutrition Council, WICCI. Ms. Duneja has been committed to holistic wellness since more than 10 years with the vision to eradicate diabetes and heart disease from India in coming next 10 years. She has appeared as guest expert in CNBC, Awaaz Consumer Adda, The Good Health Show, Signature by Bindu Kapoor, and many other shows. She is bringing up her own show in Disha TV, Fitness Mantra. She has also won many prestigious awards. 7th World Women's Super Achiever Award in 2020, Best Dietitian Award by FEAA, Women Innovator, 1000 Asia Women Awards, and also Delhi State President of Food and Nutrition Council. She's also running her own certificate courses in therapeutic and clinical nutrition program. Ms. Duneja is also a fitness writer and has written many articles in Hindustan Times, Times of India, Fitness Guru magazine, and is also an author of her upcoming book. She is a corporate speaker and has given many seminars on health and wellness for youth-centric issues. So I welcome you once again, ma'am, and we are really enlightened to have you with us today. Before starting your lecture, I would like to invite Dr. G.D. Gupta to please welcome, ma'am, sir. Please.
Continue रखो, मैडम को सुनना चाहते हैं सभी. So,
okay, sir. Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, ma'am, now the dice is all yours. We are really waiting to hear from you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm really honored to be a part of this, this platform, and it's really prestigious for me to be present among you and presenting this wonderful, speech on women empowerment and wellness. Just give me a moment, sir. I would like to share my presentation with you. If there's a problem, just give me 2 minutes.
Ma'am, can I help you? Ma'am, you are.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, but in Google Meet.
Ma'am,
So, ma'am has already given me such a wonderful introduction to all of you. So, just to brief out, I would like to give you some of the credentials. Like, there is still some problem, ma'am.
ma'am, on the left side, on the left side where all these slides are visible, you can tap there.
person also, because the whole society, whole family is based on the shoulders of the woman. If our woman is, strong enough to take the challenges head on, since the women is working in the house also and outside also, they are doing their job and they are just the wonderful people. There is no field left that the woman has untouched. So it's very important for us that we focus on the wellness programs and create really an empowerment among the fellow women. Next slide, please. Next slide. So these are some of the credentials that I have. I'm a Commonwealth Silver and Bronze medalist, and I'm the director of Nutrifybypoonam Diet and Wellness Clinic, Wiki Daily State President, Food and Nutrition, Fit Asia Educator, FIA Excellent Nutritionist Award winner, former faculty in Classic Fitness Academy, and these are some of the, I have been a columnist also. I write in India's leading fitness guru magazine, and I also won many national and Delhi state, powerlifting medals also. Next slide, please. So these are some of the medals. Next slide, ma'am. And since I just, it's still to be updated for the Commonwealth medals, so these are some of the awards. Next slide, ma'am. So what we would be covering today is the nutrition strategies for working women, exercise strategies for working women, child nutrition, reading labels on the foods, stress management, bones and joint health and beauty, the skin, hair and nails. Am I audible? Okay. So why is it important for the people of all, like especially for women, because there are so many phases in the women's life journey. When the women is a teenager, and the girls have different kind of nutrition and requirement, and then when she gets married, then there is a different strategy. When she gets pregnant, and when she's of childbearing age, then when she is like when she is nursing, when she gets old. So we need to understand what are the different strategies that you need to apply for different phases of the women. Since metabolism not only just depends on the diet we are taking, it depends on the body, genetics, hormones, physical activity, diet, sleep, stress, age and body composition. And we can actually apply a lot of effective actions to fire our metabolism. You need to understand that when we incorporate some of the actions that not only fires the metabolism but also helps on daily basis to achieve the faster metabolism and makes the body inside out very strong. So sometimes when we feel very hungry and we just munch on anything that we have inside, we need to understand that we are not actually hungry, but maybe we are having some kind of some kind of wrong implications, which we think we might be hungry, but we might be thirsty also. So we need to ask ourselves whether we are actually hungry or we are just plain bored. So when if you are actually watching your waistline, then don't overdo high GI veggies, glycemic index veggies. Means you just crave for sugary items, or spicy items, or the potato or the sweet potato. So we can choose good healthy options which not only will stabilize our glucose levels but also will stop the insulin spike, which is the biggest factor for our insulin resistance and then the weight gain. We can choose good options like try adding fruit to your porridge, or natural yogurt in the morning, which helps grow good bacteria in the gut, and it improves digestion and boosts immunity against common cold and flus. Next slide, please. So these are some of the strategies. Like we should include bright colored veggies in our daily plate. The more the color in your plate, the more it is going to give the antioxidant and the phytonutrients value, which are going to protect you from so many pollution which is happening, and so many inflammation which is already occurring in the body due to contaminants and pollution and so many things. It will really help us to have a nice supple skin and the bright eyes, everything. Next slide, please. And foods that fire metabolism. So we have to understand that Indians are especially deficient in proteins. We all, our Indian diets are always rich in carbs, and the food that the staple diet that we are having throughout the day is just rice, bread, or the milk sometimes, or just roti, what we call chapati, and very limited amount of protein we are having are per body weight. Like it's important that if you are if you are not exercising, if you are sedentary, then also zero point 0.8 gram per kg of body weight is important. And if we are not taking, we are going to suffer many protein deficiency syndromes like falling hair or the hormonal imbalances. And so we need to take care that we should be have a have our meal revolving around the protein options throughout the day. Say after every 2.5 hours, we should be having something in our diet which has good amount of protein in it. Next slide, please. So, previous slide, ma'am. Sorry. So these are some of the options that we can have to add protein in our diet, like the beans, the pulses, the lentils, and the kidney beans, peanuts, and chicken, fish, and the chickpeas and eggs. Next slide, ma'am. Next slide. So the thermogenic foods, uh, which, yes, the thermogenic foods are the foods that have a higher thermic effect, which means when we eat them, they actually need some more energy to be digested. So they raise our metabolic rate significantly, right? And they actually make us full. And once we plan our meals around them, the cravings for the junk food pretty much become a thing of the past. So we are whenever we have any kind of sweet cravings throughout the day, or we feel like lethargic, that means the glow on our skin is going. And also just because we are not having enough protein in our diet, the body is giving enough signals that we should be listening to, so that we start adding more protein. See, the body gives signals that we need to understand. And if we are just lost in the daily life and are busy in our meetings, and then the blood test reports somewhere in the future show that these are the signals that your body is giving, like anything can happen, like the hair fall can happen, and so many other symptoms we face, and PCOD and PCOS in women, and the childbearing age, there is infertility, and also your nails could be breaking, hair fall is there, and your skin just loses shine. So we need to understand that it is a time that we start having thermogenic foods, which is going to alleviate all these symptoms, and we'll feel much better about ourselves, and the cravings will go down automatically. So try to include more protein in the meals, like eggs, yogurt, fish, chicken, if possible beef and turkey. And even if anyone is vegan, then try to add more chickpeas, right? And there are other protein options also, the seeds, the chia seeds, and the flax seeds have good amount of protein and omega-3 fatty acids. And there are the thermogenic fats. Similarly, some fat sources increase our body temperature and leads excess calories being burned. And also the spices like the ginger and pepper in our pulses, omelets, and sandwiches, which actually enhance the digestion. Next slide, please. So, whenever we think of cutting our waste, we always think that we should be, reducing the fats, and we should just stay away from the fats. Even if at homes you might hear someone in your family say, "Meri roti pe ghee mat lagana." This is something wrong we are doing. And we need to understand there are two categories of fats. Not every fat is bad and is your enemy. There are two kind of fats, the good fats and the bad fats. Good fats are something which you get from natural sources like the plants, and the fatty fishes, avocado, and the nuts and the peanut butter, but of course in moderation. Even if these are taken out of control and exceed the maximum intake, then you might raise your cholesterol. So we have to understand the moderation is the key. And the bad fats are something which we get from the junk food, and all the trans fats category, more than sufficient intake. If you are having loads of chips or loads of cheese and the pizzas and the burgers and the pie and anything which we, even if we take a lot of sweets also, then also that convert into bad calories, and it might raise the triglycerides and the LDL, that is a low density lipoprotein. So it's important that we should take good fats because, right. Then next slide. And these options will actually lower the cholesterol. If we have fatty fish, we have berries, the nuts, of course, in moderation, then the red wine, some citrus fruits, and the olive oil, avocado, dark chocolate, green and black teas, and the whole grains, beans, spinach, soya, and vegetables. Next slide, ma'am. And of course, say no to processed food. Anything which comes packaged, it's important that we stay away from them. And they are actually increasing our cravings, that whenever we have longer meetings and we just forget to have our meals on time, and moreover we are so stressed, we are not having proper sleep time or the waking time, then what happens is your blood pressure also rises. And whenever you get time, say after long meals, you're not focusing on meals at all, and when the meeting is over, then you just run to whatever you see in sight. Of course it's going to be processed because it is going to give you a high, right? It is going to give you a quick energy source, so it is always going to be high sugar or high fat food. So it is going to, of course, give you a rise in your cholesterol levels later in life. So you should be saying completely no to processed food. Either remove them from your fridge, or just if you have sweets, like on the festivals you are gifted more of the sweets from your loved ones, so immediately either give them away to your maids or any staff, but do not keep them at home, because there is a tendency whenever we have these meals in front of us, we will go and just have a bite or so, and which we even don't count. So this actually happens, and when you say ki I have been practicing such a balanced diet and always doing exercises, but still I'm not getting any results, right? So this is a basic reason, because we don't actually count the bite or a sip, which which is exceeding the calories in fact. So we should say no to the processed food. Include the whole grains, the complex starches, which always keep the glucose and the blood cholesterol levels and the insulin levels in balance, right? Complex starches and the nuts, seeds, lean protein sources, and increase the thermogenic effect, which burn more calories during digestion. Like the cheddar cheese sandwich from whole wheat bread burns more calories than processed cheese sandwich made with white bread. So it's important to understand what are the good options that we can have even while snacking, so that there are no hunger pangs. And then in the evening, when the body is just winding up for a rest, say resting stage, when the sun sets, when the sun goes down, it's imperative that our metabolism fire also goes down. And when we just pile up, what will you think when you're just about to leave the office and your boss just gives you more files? So this is what our body actually feels when we do not give nutrition to our body throughout the day, but at the end of the day we just give it enough calories to burn, right? And we are just going to wind up our day, but what happens is just it the gut actually answers back in form of gut issues when you feel bloated and acidic and constipated. So this is a reason that you should be understanding why it is important to understand the timing of the meal we are having, right? So try to increase good food options while you're having. And I'm not saying ki, you should just completely make these processed food out of your life, but it has to be in moderation. Say once in a while, when you're practicing good food habits for say 15 days, or 2 weeks or plus 3 weeks, or at least 15-20 days in a month, then once in a while it is okay. Even as a human, I understand that we party also, we like to party, we like to enjoy with our friends. And if you are practicing religiously, say at least when we talk about a week, if you are practicing at least 6 days a week a good food habit, then it is okay to have a meal, a very small portion. The key is to moderate your portions, cut your portion size. So this is how we can do a lot while managing our weight. Next slide, ma'am. So as we said, these are the good fat options. These are the bad fat options. Avocados, eggs, coconut oil, raw nuts, olive oil, salmon, flaxseed, leafy green vegetables, organic butter, organic nut oils. And the bad fats are the margarine, French fries, donuts, cookies, pastries, crackers, canola oil, hydrogenated oils, and processed meats. Next slide, ma'am. Just give me a second. Previous slide, ma'am. So sometimes, yes, ma'am, एक slide back. Yes. Okay, ma'am. ठीक है. Okay. So we have a tendency to, follow what we see in the TVs, in the magazines, any kind of nowadays social media. Celebrity are presenting so many fat diets, and so many YouTubers and so many, people actually are presenting bro science, what we call, which actually doesn't have any scientific impact. But whenever they find anything, any celebrity is, trying to, famous it. So these are actually doing bad to us, and these are the low calorie diets or the crash diets, and they are impacting our health more bad than ever. And we have to understand that why should we avoiding low calorie diet and fasting for longer intervals. I have so many clients which come to me and say we have the diets like juice diets, or just the soups diet, which is impacting them very badly. They maybe they see a crash in their weight for a little while and they get happy. Wow, we lost 5 kgs or 10 kgs in just 15 days or 20 days or 1 month. But it is not going to be sustained for life. And if they ever try to even sustain them, then they end up having hormonal imbalances, and the skin starts sagging, and there are dark circles, and so many bad things. They don't end up looking like $1 million, but they end up looking like a sick person, which we don't want. And this is why which we need to understand that the diet has to be balanced, and it should have all the proportion, all the nutrients in correct order, and the proteins, carbs, and fats. And any diet which makes you just cancels any of the biggest macronutrients, like the keto diets just say no less than 15 gram 50 gram of carbs, and it is not going to it is not going to sustain forever, and there are so many side effects also. They might end up losing some weight, but when you test their blood test, then their cholesterol levels are spiking high. So the point I want to make is that you should be understanding only the balanced diet are important, which will help you in curbing all the kind of lifestyle diseases in future, and will help you balance your hormones also. So try to avoid the low calorie diet and fasting for longer intervals, as the body fights back to preserve its fuel sources for emergency modes. Right, the human body is designed for survival, so it actually slows down the metabolic rate, thereby saving the fat stores. It's similar like when you are suspended, when you are just left out at a lonely island, and you have hardly any food to eat, and you have the body understand it has to survive. So what does it do is it starts eating its own muscles at a time. See, we cannot live without food. We cannot live without water and food forever. So the body understands, the body just knows any way out you have to survive. So what does it do? It starts eating its own muscles, as I said. And when the muscles goes down and you actually feel so weak and fatigued and lethargic that you have hardly any energy left to do the whole, even the household chores. So it's important that why should we have the balanced diet and not this low calorie diets. Next slide, ma'am. There are certain eating disorders also, which is actually a mental disorder characterized by the abnormal eating habits that negatively affect a person's physical or mental, like the body dysmorphia, media, we see always, we are surrounded by Instagram celebrities which actually even do not look like what they are trying to show on social media, like, right? And the anorexia, mental illness, perfectionism, picky eating, bulimia, guilt, and they suffer from all these kind of symptoms when they eat, when they try to eat normally. They have a lot of guilt, they have a lot of low self-esteem, depression, and the peer pressure, binge eating, and even anxiety. So this is someone who is suffering from anorexia nervosa, and see, this is something so unhealthy, and this could be fatal also. So it's important that we should be having a balanced diet. Next slide, ma'am. Bulimia, and people actually want to fit into that corset, and I have seen cases who got their lowest ribs removed operatively after surgery. This is so unhealthy, and people are just so obsessed with such kind of, say, A4 size paper sheet. I want this size only, zero size figure, not understanding at all what is going to, bring the results. Next slide, ma'am. So there are certain good habits also. We should have, we should be drinking green tea, which has extremely high level of antioxidants called catechins that raise energy expenditure and fat loss. And if you take green tea extract that has 90 mg catechins and 50 mg caffeine, it is known to promote the fat loss due to its thermic effect. But caffeine intake should be in moderation. So restrict green tea intake to only 2-3 cups a day. Next slide, ma'am. So, okay, we'll talk about some exercise strategies for weight management. Next slide. So, this is very important to understand. See, exercise and nutrition are two sides of the same coin. And if we just think that we keep on just focusing on the nutrition part and never do any kind of exercise, which we come across so many clients are saying, ma'am, I don't have time for exercise. I just want to focus on the diet, or you give me crash diet. So this is something important to understand, that we cannot do magic, right? There are certain principles that our body body, tries to go, and we should be doing regular physical activity and weight training for who incorporate, like those people who incorporate regular physical activity of moderate intensity for 30 to 60 minutes, they lose more fat comparatively comparatively to the people who do only high intensity activity for just 10-15 minutes the whole week, right? So we should be doing steady state cardio, like just the plain walk of low intensity for 60 minutes, and we can do sprints also to lose belly fat. Start training with the weights, which is going to build more muscle in your body and has a direct impact on metabolism. When you are weight training, then the resting metabolic rate also increases, like while you're sitting or increasing, just watching the TV, then it is also going to burn your fat. So it's important that you start weight training, because aging is just एक second. Sorry. So we should be doing weight training, because what is aging? Aging is just the loss of muscle. And if we want to actually if we want to age gracefully, then it is imperative that we should be weight training at least 4 times a week, so that we do not lose any muscle mass. We need to understand that muscle is a very precious tissue. Even if you start at 50 years of age or 60 years of age, then also maybe the muscle building phase might be slow. The increase in your muscle mass is slow, but it is imperative that it is going to increase when we see it after 1 year. So muscle mass does increase, and even if there is a lot of gap between, like you used to weight train say 5 years back or 10 years back, but due to any reason that you had to leave that gymming and weight training, and when you even start now, then also after 1 month you will gain that muscle back, because there is certain muscle memory. So it's important that we do the weight training and build a muscle mass, and we do not, we will be we will be able to increase our quality life if we do the weight training, right? And increase the neat calories. Neat calories are non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It refers to the amount of movement you do after training throughout the day. See, people think that if we are doing just the weight training for 1 hour in a day, and we are able to lose more fat while they are completely sedentary throughout the day, that doesn't mean that they are doing any better, because you have to be active throughout the day, right? And when you are actively doing like 10,000 steps, this should be the target. If you are able to do 10,000 steps a day, then your metabolism will increase, because this again contributes to the metabolic rate, right? And intervals for conditioning, we try to incorporate interval training to increase fat burning and oxygen use, and increased insulin sensitivity. So people who are having any kind of lifestyle disease like the diabetes or high blood pressure, if they start doing such exercises plus the weight training, they're definitely going to show more better results comparatively to the people who are sedentary or just focusing on the nutrition only. So their stress levels also increase, their endorphins are released, right? And good hormones are released, so they feel much better after doing the exercise, and it is going to indirectly affect their insulin levels and the blood glucose levels and blood pressure levels also. So you have to walk for 10 minutes. You can walk for 10 minutes after every meal, instead of, if you suppose if you're not having enough time to do 45 minutes straight or 1 hour straight walk, so what you can do is just break it into 2 3 periods, like instead of regular slouching on a couch, like if you're just talking on phone, if you're speaking on phone, it's a long conversation. What you can do is, instead of sitting on the chair, you can just walk and then do the conversation rather than just sitting. And you can check your mails, or try to include more steps in your daily routine. Like even if you have a meal, then after every meal try to get up and at least wait for 10 minutes, then you can do a 10 or 15 minutes walk. It will really help you increase your stabilize your blood sugar levels, and better balance of hormones. Next slide, ma'am. Next slide, ma'am. So these are the good exercises for heart health: brisk walking, yoga, running, aerobics, swimming. And these are the active days. Whenever you are not going for exercise, keep active throughout the day, do some household chores. So this is really going to help your heart. So whenever people complain that whenever we go up the stairs and we are breathless, and this is actually happening. Why? Because you are not working on your heart health, right? If we just keep on moving throughout the day, just increase your steps, then it is really going to do your heart a wonder. Next slide, ma'am. Swimming is again good for cardiac health, and it is wonderful for people who are having joint problems. Next slide, ma'am. Next slide, ma'am. So you can just enjoy the nature also doing exercise, and this is for child nutrition. Next slide, ma'am. People are having issues with the children which are not able to have their diet properly. So these are the food families, what we call energy providing foods, which are the carbohydrates and fats; body building foods, which are the proteins; protective foods, vitamins and minerals; and regulatory foods, water and roughage. Next slide, ma'am. So the children should be having, when the women are having proper knowledge, then they can take care of everyone in their house, including their children. And children should be, since this is their growing age, they should be given proper meals like probiotic, yogurt, curd, buttermilk. And it is easier to digest than milk. See, curd is more easy to digest than milk. 60 minutes to digest milk and 30 minutes to digest yogurt. And calcium and phosphorus are better assimilated in curd, and vitamin B is in abundance, and lactose intolerant people can also consume it. There's good bacteria, which also plays a key role in supporting the growth of other good bacteria and stop the bad ones. And good bacteria prevents diarrhea and fatty liver disease, and it controls cholesterol and helps in weight management. Next slide, ma'am. And again, the paneer and cheese, and you might be having, whenever you go to a dairy and you have two options like the malai paneer, and you can make your low fat paneer at home also. And this is has to be taken care of when you are actually going for weight management. Don't have full fat milk, and you can have these varieties of cheese which can be easy on your stomach, like the ricotta, feta, cottage, and light mozzarella cheese. They are much healthier option as compared to cheddar, brie, and cream cheese. And cheese is a good source of CLA, that is a conjugated linoleic acid, and it is a good source of calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, vitamin D, B12, and zinc. It is high in protein and has a good satiety value and helps manage your weight also. And one serve of milk is equal to two slices of cheese and 45 gram of paneer for children. So this is for children who are actually in growing stage and need more energy, and for increase in their height. And next slide, ma'am. So what you can do for your children is just disguise these delicacies like bottle gourd. You can make soup with moong or masoor dal boiled with tomatoes or lauki and onions. Snake gourd, that is a tori. You can just slice thinly and dip in besan batter and deep fry. Same with lady finger. And it will actually appear delicious to them, and they can easily have it also. And the tinda, what we call as baby squash, mince finely and cook in Chinese style with chopped spring onion, ginger, and garlic like the Manchurian. So this is how we can feed children all these kind of green vegetables, and actually having a lot of antioxidants also. Pumpkin, which is rich source of beta carotene. Add to cakes or muffin batter and adding moisture and texture also. So you can divide your child's plate in two halves. If one of the half has veggies, fruits and beans, then you are on the right track. And three different colored fruits and vegetables which have phytochemicals that prevent heart disease and cancers. Next slide, ma'am. So breads and more, almost all breads have a much higher sodium content as compared to the traditional roti. Some people say ki if we skip the roti and we can have bread, this is again this is something that they are doing wrong, since breads have higher sodium content and higher gluten content also compared to the traditional roti. So better stick to a single roti rather than going for 3 4 pieces of bread in a day. So it's not going to do any weight management for you. And one slice of bread may have 230 mg of sodium, which comes from baking soda and other added salt. Many fats additives are also added, and refined flour is added to give texture, which are not present in roti. See, it is a processed food. It is not coming straight from the bakery, right? Or you are yourself baking it. You know all the constituents, and so many preservatives, and of course, even if you see a bread which says atta flour, it is not actually atta flour. It is 50% maida and 50% atta. The wheat flour. So need to understand that not everything which is marketed as healthy is actually healthy, but just to attract your attention. It's not pure atta, right? Then whole wheat or whole grain, it uses grain and germ intact. If the label mentions whole grain as first ingredient, go for it. Then the rye, the bread is dense and dark with a strong flavor, which is popular in Europe. Multigrain bread, again, combination of different grains are used, but may not be whole grains. Has more fiber than white bread, and it is not that healthy, which is claimed to be healthy. It is not that healthy. Then the oatmeal, oats have beta glucans, which reduce cholesterol. This is a good option. And when buying bread, look for 2 gram fiber per slice. Sodium content should be less than 200 milligram, saturated fat less than 500 milligram per slice, and zero trans fats. Next slide, ma'am. So we need to understand the nutrition facts also. We should what Whenever we come across the clients, the first thing we do is try to teach them label reading, which is very important. And you should also cultivate this habit. Whenever you go for grocery shopping, just try to read the label behind it. sometimes we do not, consider the serving size, and we say, oh, only 250 calories or 150 calories are there, and we do not understand that it is just per 100 grams. If the pack is of say 400 gram or 250 gram, then you have to multiply the content. If 100 gram has so many, say 100 calories, so multiply it with 250 grams, right? Then it is going to, actually multiply so many calories. It is going to be a lot, which has to be, in a single serving it is too much. Then understand why sodium content is too high and you do not have to touch it. Then again, sugar, suppose carbs content is 31 gram and the sugars, it in this label it is 5 gram, but if the sugars are only 25 gram or 20 gram, then again sugars are very high in that. You don't have to touch it. And protein content, you have to again see whether it is good for you or not. And if the label says only it is high in sugar or carbs and trans fat also, then again stay away from it. Next slide, ma'am. So these are some of the marketing gimmicks that we come across. In India, there are no strict guidelines that govern the authenticity and details of the information on food labels. The nutritional content should be calculated according to the real serving size. Excess salt and sugar in the name of dextrose or the corn syrup and maltodextrins. Natural word can easily be deceptive, and one serving of granola bar has oats, honey, and soya also, and raisins, but has more sugar than donuts. So this is what they claim, and the fruit drinks or the juices, they say natural source and with pulp. Again, they no juice that can be packaged come as good as a natural fruit. So vitamins A, B, C, sometimes they contain 18 gram of sugar in 19 gram of the whole serving. So it is again important. It is just going to give you sugar laden, colored water, nothing else. It's not pure juice. A single pack of noodles does not mention the content of salt. One packet of noodles may lead your child with half of the salt he or she needs in a day. So understand that it is not good enough for the child to be had on a regular basis. Next slide. Next slide, ma'am. So these are the rules for label reading. The healthy ingredient you're seeking should be the first ingredient and not the 20th ingredient in the list. For example, in chocolates, cocoa or chocolate liquor should be the first ingredient. The ingredient list is supposed to be made in order of weight, and the ingredient should be in larger amount in the product is listed first. Milk additives and Vita nutrients means no meaning in scientific terms. Such powders are very high on sugar and malt. That's why cocoa and fruits added to milk are much better. And fat free, height increasing, low fat, low sugar, or health food drinks. These are some of the terms that are actually used by the marketing companies to attract the customers. It can contain malt and sugar in good amounts. Then the whole grain, multigrain. The grains are processed and not whole grains. Real fruit candies, they contain less quantities of highly processed fruit juice as extracts, as sweetener only. High on simple sugars and extra calories only. And the fruit flavor or natural juice blends. Then cholesterol free food should have less than 2 mg of cholesterol and 2 milligram of saturated fats and trans fats combined. And sugar free should have less than 5 milligram sugar per serving. Trans fat, if processed fat has zero point 0.5 milligram trans fat per serving, WHO has recommended child should not have more than 2.6 milligram of trans fat per day. And healthy, less than 60 milligram of cholesterol, low fat, low saturated fat, not more than 360 to 480 milligram of sodium, iron, calcium, protein, and fiber. Next slide, ma'am. Again, be alert to the labels. 1 teaspoon of ketchup has 4 gram of sugar. The teaspoon is just 5 gram, and out of 5 gram, 4 gram is sugar. 1 cup pasta sauce has 20 gram sugar. Salted chips have over 6 gram of sugar in 100 gram of pack. And 35% of calories of a veggie burger and 47% of non-veg burger comes from fat. A typical meal from a fast food counter has 47 to 51% of daily calorie requirement. So this is how it actually is doing, lot more bad than we can even expect from such, innocent looking junk food, attractive looking. So, stress management. Let's talk a little about stress management, which is again going to do more good. It's going to alter so many difficult situations that we are in. Next slide, ma'am. So these are some of the strategies that we should be, doing in our lives also. The self-acceptance, be less self-critical to yourself, self-management, becoming better organized, conflict resolution, having a positive attitude towards the life, and the breathing exercise, meditation, and exercises. Sometimes we are too critical about ourselves. We are doing the best we can, and sometimes if someone else is doing much good than us, maybe they achieve a good success more earlier than us, than we think, then we start comparing ourselves. See, maybe the person has started very early, and when the person has just achieved success, he is being highlighted, right? He is in limelight, but we do not understand the struggles that he might have faced when he had started early, and he might be in the middle of his journey, and we are just starting early, we are just starting late, I mean. So do not ever, there is a certain timeline of everyone's journey, everyone's life journey. So it's better not to, compare, keep on comparing, and jeopardizing our own efforts, and, always be self-critical. So there is some positive, there has to be some positive mindset that we should be, applying to ourselves, that we will get better, we are doing our best, not to just overlook the even the smallest steps that could have helped us, achieve where we are. So rather than just going for, bigger life achievements, just also consider the smaller steps that actually help us bring, means where we are is also a big achievement for us. And always talk to your, if you have any kind of conflicts with your family members, or with any of your friends, or even in the job place, then try to talk it out rather than keeping it in your heart, and, just doing the cold wars and all. So we need to have a positive attitude towards everything, that everything can be resolved once we speak, right? And we can do meditation, we can keep ourselves busy, we can do, whatever hobby exercises what we love to do. So try to manage your stress rather than just projecting your anger or frustration on your fellow members, right? Next slide, ma'am. These are the breathing exercises. Do yoga, do pranayam. Next slide, ma'am. Meditation with music. And then the skin, hair, and nails. A little about the skin, hair, and nails. Women are especially, very conscious about their skin, hair, and nails, and the other beauty parameters. So eat plenty of fruit and vegetables. They contain antioxidants which can boost our immune system. Any seasonal fruits which you like, a small portion, then you can fill your plate half with fresh vegetables and fruits, which are a good source of vitamins and minerals like vitamin A and C, folate, iron and calcium. Purple, red, orange varieties are particularly high in antioxidants. Next slide, ma'am. So rather than going for expensive treatments, always have good nutrition on your plate first. It's not going to give you better results if you are just going on and spending a lot of money on botox facials, and, so many different things, and expensive spas. So it's better that you keep on having, good sources of good enough antioxidants on your plate, having a balanced diet, good stress management, proper sleep time, less dining out, so many other things. Especially smoking and, alcohol is again a big factor. Next slide, ma'am. These are the berries. Next slide, ma'am. Sunflower seeds. Try to have, mixed seeds daily, like 1 teaspoon or 1 tablespoon you can have. These are the strawberries. Next slide, ma'am. Beauty benefits. If you are having good strawberries, citrus fruits, and red peppers and broccoli, beauty benefits, there are smooth texture. These fruits are loaded with vitamin C, which is important for the production of collagen. It is a skin support structure. If you are having less vitamin C, then you might see some fine lines and wrinkles appearing on the face. And sunflower seeds and almonds, again, they are filled with vitamin E and good fats and antioxidants like this, which can protect skin from free radicals, damaging agents. And 1 teaspoon sunflower seeds and 5 to 7 almonds daily. Next slide, ma'am. Healthy foods, these are the beta carotene foods. Next slide, ma'am. When you include beta carotenes in your diet, means you are having dark orange, red, and leafy greens vegetables. They give you a very fresh complexion, which is a type of carotenoid. Beta carotene is a type of carotenoid, which is a group of plant pigments that gives orange and red veggies like the sweet potato, and it has antioxidants, right? Body converts beta carotene into vitamin A, which regulates cell production and turnover, and the process by which old cells are shed and replaced by new ones, so skin surface is smooth. Beta carotene and other carotenoids like lutein and lycopene may also protect against and repair the damage sun does to skin. Dark leafy vegetables like spinach and kale are important sources, excellent sources of beta carotene. So you can aim for 1 cup servings a day. Next slide, ma'am. And again, eggs, they're a good source of protein and several vitamins. Fortified cereals, you can have a youthful glow when you have fortified cereals in the lean meat, poultry. Right foods to get zinc, iron, minerals, key to healthy skin functioning. So whenever you have any deficiency, they appear as it can appear as acne or it can appear as paleness in your skin. So it is important that you need to have these micronutrients also with you. The zinc contributes to cell production and natural exfoliation to keep the dull skin. RBCs need iron to carry oxygen to skin, which gives a healthy glow, right? And aim for 1 serving of cereal, 1 palm-sized serving of poultry, that is a chicken and eggs. And of course, you need to have good sources of protein. You can have boiled chicken, roasted chicken, and boiled egg whites also. Next slide, ma'am. And again, hydration is very important. If you're having everything in order, but you're not properly hydrated, then also your diet won't be balanced. Next slide, ma'am. So what are the beauty benefits of water? Previous slide. It gives you a supple skin. Hydrated skin looks more younger than the dehydrated skin. You have to eat right. Like the skin cells contain mostly water. Every organ in our body, it should be, it should be very hydrated if you want the proper functioning. And dehydration causes dry skin and parched, pigmented look. And have 4 to 5 liters of water daily. Actually, your urine should be clear. And eat fruits, veggies which have more juices like watermelon, oranges in a day. Aim for 10 to 12 glasses at least a day. Next slide, ma'am. And these are the nuts. We should be having, good quantity of vitamin E and certain even proteins also. Next slide, ma'am. Balance cholesterol levels, increase the heart health because it has good heart health, good fats, right? It reduces the blood pressure and clots, boosts the immune system, aids in weight loss, helps manage diabetes, improve digestive function, optimize the body's metabolism, increase skin health, prevent cancer, and increase cognitive function, protect against viral and fungal functions, and increase RBCs count. Next slide, ma'am. So you should be having these fatty fishes and which have a lot of omega-3 fatty acids. You will have fewer wrinkles, and if you eat right amount of fish and nuts, of course in moderation. Fortified eggs have a lot of omega-3 fatty acids which fight inflammation in the body caused by stress and the sun. And inflammation actually produces a lot of lifestyle diseases, even resulting in cancers and lot of arthritis issues and the joint issues. Every disease is related to inflammation in the body. So omega-3s fight these free radicals and translate to younger looking skin, and it is important for brain health and heart health too. So 5 ounces of fish per week, or 1 to 2 walnuts, or 2 omega-3s fortified eggs. is going to give you a lot of benefit. So the dark chocolate. So next slide, ma'am. Next slide, ma'am. Sugar-laden chocolates contribute to acne and wrinkles, so you should not be going straight away for the dark chocolate. I mean the sugar-laden chocolates. High-quality dark chocolate, which have 70% more cocoa, is actually good for skin, and it is actually good for heart health also if taken in moderation. Cocoa's flavonols, a potent type of antioxidant, may ward off wrinkles, improve skin elasticity, and even protect skin from UV damage. And aim for chocolate is very high in calories. You again have to, whatever I say it is healthy, sometimes people over exceed their healthy limits. So again, it becomes bad only. So you have to have everything in moderation. Red wine. Next slide, ma'am. Next slide, ma'am. Red wine is very rich in polyphenols, antioxidants that help skin damaging free radicals. Alcohol works as a diuretic, which means your body releases water. Alcohol tells your body to hold onto water so body fails to absorb water that it needs. And you end up extra visits to the loo. You feel dehydrated and skin that looks dry with a dull tone and visible wrinkles. So heavy alcohol decreases vitamin A levels, which is a key important for healthy skin. So one drink can also benefit bones and heart health. Next slide, ma'am. Whole grain foods, beauty benefits are the clearer skin. Low glycemic diet means more whole grains, proteins, and produce versus refined carbs such as white bread and sugar may reduce acne. Low glycemic foods keep insulin steady and refined carbs. And the basic thing is that try to have whole grain foods and not the processed foods so that they keep your insulin levels steady and do not spike your blood sugar levels, right? And 3 servings a day for a slice of bread or half cup cooked grains. Next slide. And these are some of the skin damaging foods. The sugar, this is the biggest culprit. Whenever we have that candy in our hand and other sugary foods, it's causing aging, right? Whenever you go for any sugar craving, understand that it is going to, bring a series of aging reactions in your body. Rush of glucose into bloodstream set a process called glycation, in which sugar attaches to the protein and form advanced glycation end products, that is AGEs. These molecules naturally build up in skin as we get older, and the more AGEs we have, then we have less elastin fibers, right? And the skin that doesn't bounce back easily leads to wrinkles and sagging. Next slide, ma'am. So even if you are having any kind of sugar like the khand or the good, it is going to do the same thing. There is no difference, not much difference. Again, milk and dairy. Milk and dairy might cause acne to people who are sensitive to lactose. And dairy acne connection, there is, hormones also spike after dairy consumption. And insulin levels also spike up, I mean. Androgens are naturally found in milk, even the organic versions. It may lead to drinkers' own level of androgens. Like the cows are injected, everything is injected. They are not being properly fed. The organic grass, just the dry hay, and they're being fed. They're not having good diet, and the dairy industry is, not that. Uh, what do you call? They are just spend. They just want more milk production so they can earn more benefit, they can earn more profit, so they can do any kind of things to make the cows pregnant all the time. And instead of feeding to their own calves, they are producing milk for our consumption, and anything they can take care of anything that to make that happen. So what we are being fed is not that good, which we suppose it should be doing good for our children, but it doesn't do that good. And it is raising insulin levels, and children and girls especially are going through PCOS and PCOD, right? Polycystic ovarian syndrome, and they are also contain growth factors that act like insulin. So there is a lot of hormonal imbalance happening in the body due to the hormonally injected milk which we are having. So both may lower the production of molecules that bind to and deactivate hormones, meaning more androgen able, which can cause pimples also. Next slide, ma'am. Next slide. So what we can have instead of cow's milk, we can have oats milk or the rice milk or the cashew milk, plant options rather than going for animal milk. The spicy foods, people suffering from rosacea. Earlier slide, ma'am. Eating spicy foods can cause a temporary flare-up of blotchiness and redness, and people with fair skin also find that hot and spicy foods tend to noticeable flushing. Next slide, ma'am. These are the spices and chilies. And foods for the bones health, you can have sufficient calcium in your diet, and vitamin D also, because Indians are especially deficient in vitamin D, especially the vegans who are not consuming, whenever, even in the winters we are completely covered from head to toe, and the sun is the only source for vitamin D, so it is important that we supplement ourselves with vitamin D so that our body can absorb more calcium. And if we do not have enough calcium and vitamin D, we can suffer from poor bone health, which can increase the risk of breaking a bone or fracture later in life. These are the conditions, rickets and osteoporosis, in the deficiency when we suffer from the deficiency of calcium. Next slide, ma'am. So risk factors for the bone health: less amount of calcium in diet when we are doing less physical activity, no weight training, tobacco and alcohol are used, gender. Females are more prone to osteoporosis, and people who are extremely thin, means BMI is less than 19 and has a smaller body frame, they also suffer from less bone health, so less bone mass is there. Age, as we age we lose more bone mass. Hormone levels, if the thyroid hormone is high, then bone loss happens, and especially around the menopause, and prolonged absence of menstruation, amenorrhea, because before menopause also increases the risk of osteoporosis. And eating disorders like the bulimia, anorexia or stomach surgeries, when we are actually not trying to have enough nutrition, then some people have bariatric surgeries, and conditions like the Crohn's disease, celiac disease and Cushing syndrome disease cause bone loss, and which is due to the malabsorption of calcium. Next slide, ma'am. So these are the foods that we can incorporate for stronger bones. Next slide, ma'am. We need around 1000 mg of calcium per day, adults, and women after 50, and men should increase 1200 mg of daily calcium, and include milk, cheese, and other dairy foods, green leafy vegetables like broccoli, cabbage, and okra, but not spinach, and soya beans, tofu, soya drinks with added calcium, nuts, breads, and anything which is made with fortified flour, fishes where you eat the bones, such as sardines and pilchards. Next slide, ma'am. So these are the sources of vitamin D. As we just discussed, we are generally deficient in vitamin D. So in short daily periods of sun exposure without sunscreen, it is going to do good. Next slide, ma'am. So all children aged 1 to 4 year old, people who are frail or housebound, they are as the risk groups, and people who are confined indoors, such as care home, or the people who wear clothes that cover up most of their skin, and those of African and Caribbean and South Asian origin, they are at risk groups, so they should take enough supplementation for calcium. Next slide, ma'am. The sources of calcium: calcium said tofu, sesame seeds, pulses, and vegans. The non-vegans can have easily from milk and cheese and yogurt, but vegans can get it from other foods like pulses and sesame seeds, brown and white bread, dried fruits such as raisins, prunes, figs, and dried apricots. Ma'am, can you please share the screen, ma'am? prunes, figs, and dried apricots. Vegan diet contains little, if any, vitamin D without fortified foods or supplements, so try to get sufficient sunlight exposure during the summer. Vegan sources, ma'am, next slide. Vitamin D are the sunshine, of course, fortified fat spreads, breakfast cereals and soya drinks with vitamin D added, vitamin D supplements, and especially during pregnancy and when breastfeeding, it is important that the women who follow a vegan diet, they need to make sure they get enough vitamins and minerals for their child to develop healthily. And if you are bringing up your baby or child on a vegan diet, then you need to ensure they get a variety of foods also. Next slide, ma'am. Too much vitamin A, again, people who think that vitamin A is great, and again, if sometimes things get toxic and do not exceed the prescribed limits, and they are advised not to eat liver more than once a week, so take supplements contain retinol, which is an animal form of vitamin A. And people at risk of osteoporosis, like post-menopausal women and older people, are advised to limit their retinol, including those containing fish liver oil, intake to no more than 1.5 mg a day by eating less liver and avoiding supplements containing retinol. Next slide, please.
So much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
So I request Dr. G.D. Gupta to please say a few words. Ma'am, this was, ma'am, actually I have some questions. So
पहले क्वेश्चन ले लो मैडम.
Sure, sure. Yes, ma'am, please ask.
मैम एज फार एज दोज हेल्थ ड्रिंक्स आर कंसर्न्ड, अभी आजकल के दिनों में आप देख रहे हो कि बहुत ज्यादा व्हाट्सएप पे भी आ रहा है कि जीरा वाटर और दैट अजवाइन कैरम्स वाटर और डिटॉक्सिफाइंग वाटर. सो हाउ दीज आर एक्चुअली सेफ फॉर अस, कि कोई भी चीज अगर मैम यूज कर रहे हैं तो नुकसान तो उसका होगा, कि आर दीज नेचुरल रेमेडीज एंड दे विल बी हेल्पफुल फॉर द वेट लॉस और एनीथिंग एल्स?
Yes, ma'am. When you're having it naturally, like you're doing it at home, it's not pre-prepared, right? When you are actually using the ingredients from your own kitchen, then it is of course beneficial. There is no harm using them daily, even. But not anything which is packaged just coming directly from the market. That is going to do more damage. This is natural. These ingredients are natural, so you can use it.
Okay. And there is one more question, ma'am. In the good fats and bad fats, I have seen in your slide, ma'am, how peanut butter, it is good, it is a good fat, or almond butter or peanut butter?
Yes, if you prepare at home, then it's a good fat. But since the packaged version, when we buy the bottle from outside, when you open the lid, you can find there is some oil floating on it. So there is a lot of oil, there is a lot of sugar to enhance the flavor and that nutty texture, and the preservatives that are used, again, they are anything packaged from food which comes from outside is processed. It's not going to be that natural which they claim. So better is learn the recipe and prepare all these things at home, because it is full of sugar, and the people who are looking for weight loss, they will end up gaining weight instead of losing it, thinking that it is a protein option.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
all. Of course it has good amount of protein, but again, the portion size matters. When a teaspoon of peanut butter is, there is a difference, and a heap full, because it is very tasty, people find it very interesting to have. Then if they consume a lot of heap, and if 2 3 more heaps, then it is going to add 300 calories. It is that high calorie. So it is important that you stay away from peanut butter. You can do it just preparing at home.
And ma'am, one more thing that so many times I have heard that the timely eating is very important. If you have your lunch at 12:30, so one should make sure that daily we should take our lunch at 12:30 or dinner by 7 p.m. So ma'am, why this time is important?
Time is important because your body knows that it is going to get nutrition in a particular time. When you know there is a cycle, and when you get used to, when your body gets used to that, it will stop saving the meals that you're having or converting the food into fat. So this is what happens when you have the meal at proper time. Even if you're going for a meeting, say the meeting is 2 hour long, what you can do is just even while transit, when you're in the car, you can have a small, anything handy options with you in your bag. Have them with you all the time whenever you go for traveling. Even in your desk drawers, you can have, just have a small bit, say nuts or just some makhane, roasted makhane, small portion you can have just before the meeting. Then you are free for 2 hours, right? After 2 hours, then have them again. So you can maintain the gap even if you want.
Like mini meals.
Mini meals,
Many
yes.
dietitians say that we have to go for mini
Yes,
meals.
it will actually help you stabilize those blood sugar levels, which are the basic reason why you're having all the lifestyle diseases.
And that will improve the metabolism
Correct,
also.
correct.
बट इन द मीन टाइम मैम हम ये नहीं कर सकते कि लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल दैट आई एम अ वर्किंग लेडी एंड क्लास लेके आए, भूख लगी तो 2 बिस्किट्स खा लिए, क्योंकि अदरवाइज मैम इफ सच टाइप ऑफ मिनी मील्स दे विल रादर इंक्रीज द कैलोरीज
हाँ
इनटेक.
मैम, मील्स आपने गलत चूज करा ना. बिस्किट्स आर नॉट द गुड सोर्स. हैंडी तो बहुत होता है, इजी टू हैव होता है, बट द थिंग इज कि वही है, आपने अब वो चूज गलत करा. तो इंस्टेड इट इज गिविंग यू अ गुड, मीठा है, मीठा अच्छा लगता है. And brain actually utilizes a lot of sugar, so there is a lot of tendency that we switch on to the sweeter options rather than going for complex starches or complex carbs. हमारा मन करेगा कि हम कुछ मीठा खाएं, तो ऑलवेज हैव देम. नहीं तो क्या होता है, आप देखो ऑफिस में वो लोग फिर शाम के टाइम समोसे कचौड़ियाँ आ रही होती हैं. दिस इज व्हाट हैपेंस इन अ मल्टीपल कप्स ऑफ टी. सो इट्स बेटर टू हैव good healthy options with you so that you do not rush to junk options, that whatever is available we are going to have.
एंड मैम वन मोर क्वेश्चन इज देयर दैट कई लोगों को देखा है हमने कि खूब सारा खाते पीते रहते हैं सारा दिन, घी भी खा रहे हैं, चीनी भी ले रहे हैं, सब कुछ ले रहे हैं, बट स्टिल दे आर लाइक थिन एंड लीन. एंड कुछ लोग ऐसे हैं जो कहते हैं कि इनको तो पानी भी घी की तरह लगता है. तो ये कितनी सच्चाई है इस बात में?
मैम ऐसा होता है कि फैट इज ऑफ टू काइंड. एक तो सबक्यूटेनियस फैट है विच अपीयर्स जस्ट बीनीथ द स्किन, मींस जो अपेरेंटली दे लुक थिनर, राइट. एक होता है जो बाहर से ही मोटा दिख रहा है. एक होता है जो उनका विसरल फैट है, ऑर्गन्स के बीच का, वो बढ़ रहा है. इट इज नॉट दिस वे कि द पीपल हु आर लीनर दे आर ओनली सफरिंग फ्रॉम, they are not suffering from any disease, and the people who are apparently fat or obese, they are only suffering from diseases. So sometimes people do not look from outside that they are unhealthy, but they might be unhealthy from inside out. तो हाँ, there are certain people उनका बहुत हाई मेटाबॉलिक रेट होता है, एक्टोमॉर्फिक होते हैं, उनको फैट बढ़ाना भी मुश्किल है, उनको मसल गेन करना भी मुश्किल है, बट जेनेटिकली यू कैन से दे आर ब्लेस्ड. But it doesn't mean that they cannot be unhealthy ever in their lives. So we need to understand why. So they also need to take care of their nutrition. They also need to take care of balanced diet and good fats only, and of course in moderation, not just us or anyone else who tend to gain fat easily.
And ma'am, one more question. मेरे खुद की इतनी क्वेरीज और कुछ फैकल्टी
No
मेरे साथ
problem,
बैठे,
ma'am.
they are also
Sure,
asking.
sure.
मैम एक बार मैंने एक जगह पे लेक्चर सुना था कि जितना भी हम लोग एक्सरसाइज कर ले, इफ आई एम अबीज, कितनी भी एक्सरसाइज कर ले, या कुछ देर के बाद अल्टीमेटली दैट वेट विल कम बैक. कि वो कुछ सेल्स की शेप ऐसी होती है कि फॉर द टाइम बीइंग दे विल श्रिंक एंड आफ्टर दैट दे विल कम बैक, दैट वेट विल कम बैक अगेन. सो हाउ करेक्ट दिस स्टेटमेंट इज?
मैम ऐसा नहीं होता कि देखो, अगर आप घर में कम बैक, मतलब लोग सोचते हैं कि हम अगर 1 घंटा एक्सरसाइज करें, दैट ओनली दे काउंट एज एक्सरसाइज, राइट. बट इफ सपोज अब जैसे लॉकडाउन हुआ था पीछे, we were not able to go to the gym. Even I was the person who is herself an athlete. I was very conscious that I'm not going to gym. But what I used to do, I used to do a lot of activity in the house do some light exercises, at least the household chores, at least maintain your physical activity. मतलब आप थोड़ा चलते रहो, अपना वॉक कर लो, सिंपल एक्टिविटी लेवल्स बढ़ा लो. और ठीक है, थोड़ा टाइम लगता है कि उस चीज को वापस आने में, बट इफ यू जस्ट ऑल्सो फोकस ऑन योर डाइट, राइट, एंड इफ यू नॉट हैविंग फ्राइड ऑप्शंस एट होम, आप कहते, लोग कहते थे हम तो सब घर का बना हुआ खा रहे, तब भी हमारा वेट क्यों बढ़ा. मगर अभी सोचो, घर में भी तो आप तल के ही खा रहे थे उस टाइम, घर में ही अब वो सब समोसे बना रहे हैं और मंचूरियन, पूरे शौक उन्होंने पूरे करे. The thing is, you are having that processed food only, na. Whether it is prepared at home, your oil, using the maida and you're using the oil. So sweet options आपने बनाई, सब pastries, कोई केक बना रहा है, कोई. So I was looking at them and then they are complaining after a certain period of time कि हम लोग घर, मतलब हमारा weight lose नहीं हुआ. So
और मैम एक चीज और है जो काफी लोग, आपने एक डाउट क्लियर किया है मेरा, कि लोग कहते हैं कि अगर चीनी ना खाओ उसकी जगह गुड़ ले लो या शक्कर डाल के चाय पी लो. अगर जो लोग चाय के लिए बहुत शौकीन है मेरी तरह, तो अगर हम उसमें गुड़ डालेंगे तो आपने भी बोला कि नुकसान उसका भी वैसा ही होगा चीनी के जैसे.
मैम है तो शुगर ही ना वो, चाहे वो प्लांट सोर्स है, बट वो है तो शुगर ही. शुगर की कैलोरीज तो उतनी आएगी ना. ओके, एनर्जी सोर्स है, तो इट इज नॉट गोइंग टू डू कि हाँ वो अपने आप को, मतलब ये दिस इज अ मिथ, एक्चुअली दिस इज अ मिथ कि 1 ग्राम ऑफ शुगर आपको 4 कैलोरीज ही देगी. तो आपको गुड़ में और नेचुरल व्हाइट शुगर में कोई फर्क नहीं है.
ओके मैम, थैंक यू सो मच मैम. मुझे लगता है प्रिंसिपल सर जरूर कुछ कहना चाहेंगे. सर प्लीज, नाउ आई वोंट टेक मच टाइम. मेरे बहुत सारे डाउट्स अपने ही क्लियर हो गए हैं सर. आप म्यूट हैं, प्लीज अनम्यूट.
Yes. So thank you very much, madam. So first of all, you have given a lot of technical information related to the healthcare system, especially for the women. And we all know that near about 73.6 crores of the women in our country, and out of them is the 7.3 crore women, they are staying alone, and more than 50% of the women, they are suffering from the different disease due to the less awareness. So I know that the most probably number of time we have the confusion, and always we take the replacement. If let us consider कि sometime जो आपने कहा कि sugar related product, these are the harmful, तो हमने एक दूसरा सोच ले लिया कि हम I will take the juices और गुड़ like that. फिर कहा बर्फी होती है जो शुगर है वो हम उसको यूज नहीं करते हैं. तो जो बंगाल का जो एक रसगुल्ला होता है तो उसमें जो शुगर्स होती है वो डिफरेंट टाइप्स की यूज करते हैं. सो वी आर द यूजिंग लाइक दैट. So number of things over here, it is depend upon the person to person, and also depend upon the body metabolism. So many things it may be countable. So each and everybody try to think over it, how much things or how much calories you can say either in the any format of the carbohydrate, protein, lipids, how much quantity we have required. So if we can take in the limited quantity, and we have some of the already you have mentioned, some of the yoga, some of the exercise, and stress management. Number of time it is the one of the very important factors of the stress management, most probably in the related of the working women. So number of 2-3 types of the responsibility they are taking at a time. So lot of information given by Dr. Poonam ji, and you are the no doubt very expert, experienced, and you have also passed through the so many process which is related to the day-to-day life of the you can say person. So excellent evaluation, excellent presentation, and ISF College of Pharmacy always provide a good platform to our to the you can say student by the learned person, so you can think and you can learn so many things. I have also received number of the question on the YouTube, madam. So this lecture is completely recorded and it will be the uploaded on the YouTube. So not only some of the person, those who are direct connect with our Google Meet, the person who are in the interior areas and those who are the subscribe our channel, immediately they can come to know about this lecture, as well as some of the other people, they also connect with you. And in the long time, I hope that we can associate and we can develop some of the activities which are the very helpful to the women. So sir, on the yesterday, one of the CEO of the Medicity Hospital, He visited our institute and met to me, and we have decided to do some of the work for the Blaze Women's, because I know that we are the resolve the problems. Let us consider this lecture. This lecture is the only for the limited hands and those person who are the well aware about the health. They can be watch of this the one, but in the blazes and those person who is the staying in the taluka place, tehsil place, or you can say in the rural area, they are unable to understand. So we will organize every month two of the camp in the blazes nearby of ISF College of Pharmacy, so that we can also give some of the very basic information, very basic things to the women also, so that they can be take care of their health. एंड जो कहा जाता है कि वुमेन हमेशा सेक्रीफाइस करती है, अगर उसके हस्बैंड को फीवर आया है और सेम टाइम पर उसको फीवर आया है, तो पहले ये चाहेगी कि उसका हस्बैंड ठीक हो जाए, मुझे 2 दिन और फीवर आ जाए, देयर इज द नो प्रॉब्लम। इन द सेम थिंग कि कोई भी चीज खाने पीने की चीज है या फूड मटेरियल है, फ्रूट्स है, एनीथिंग इट मे बी द अवेलेबल एट होम, तो सबसे पहले उसकी प्रायोरिटी उसके बच्चे, बच्चे के बाद उसका हस्बैंड, एंड लीस्ट एंड लास्ट प्रायोरिटी होती है, ऐसा मैं समझता हूँ। तो ये बहुत बड़ा सेक्रीफाइस होता है, इसलिए कहते हैं नारी सर्वत्र पूजते। नारी की पूजा सभी जगह होती है और हर रूप में होती है, ठीक है। ये कई बार जिस लेवल पर भी हम मिस्टेक्स करते हैं, वहाँ पर चाहे आप पीस कहें चाहे हैप्पीनेस कहें, वो कहीं ना कहीं रिमूव होती है। तो आज की डेट में इन दोज डे वुमेन्स इज द ग्रोइंग वेरी फास्ट, और जो एम्पावरमेंट की बात आपने कही है, this is the obviously required on the wave, and our women is the healthy, not only by you can say brain से तो बहुत तंदुरुस्त होती है बहुत। मैंने अपने कई बार लेक्चर में कहा है कि एक वुमेन मैन से नियर अबाउट 13 टाइम्स इज द मोर स्ट्रॉन्गर होती है दिमागी रूप से, लेकिन कई बार वो अपने शारीरिक रूप से इतनी कमजोर हो जाती है ड्यू टू सम ऑफ दी सेक्रीफाइस और ड्यू टू सम ऑफ दी हेल्थ प्रॉब्लम, इग्नोरेंस, सो मेनी थिंग, जिसके लिए आज इस टाइप के लेक्चर की जरूरत है। तो वी ऑल आर द हाईली थैंकफुल मैडम फॉर द नाइस एंड वेरी इफेक्टिव एंड यूजफुल टॉक डिलीवर्ड बाय यू। और जो कमिंग डेज में हम चाहेंगे कि बहुत ही स्पेसिफिक पॉइंट्स पे हम लोग कुछ काम करेंगे। एंड डाइट एंड न्यूट्रिशन आज की डेट में बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि जहां हम शादी ब्याह देखते हैं, एवरीथिंग इज द अनलिमिटेड। कुछ लोग होते हैं जो वेरी सिलेक्टेड होते हैं, कुछ लोग होते हैं कि बस क्या है सब कुछ उसको देयर इज द अनकंट्रोल फॉर्मेट में चलता रहता है। अभी हमारी एक डॉक्टर से बात हुई थी, तो उन्होंने एक बड़ी अच्छी चीज कही थी कि नाउअडेज द आर्टरीज एंड वेन्स की जो लाइफ रेट इज द रिड्यूस होती चली जा रही है टू द लाइफ स्टाइल एज वेल द डाइट। तो इस पर भी होमवर्क करने की जरूरत है। दैट इज वाई कार्डियक अरेस्ट एंड कार्डियक प्रॉब्लम, आर्थराइटिस इज द ग्रेजुअली इंक्रीजिंग। डायबिटीज, आर्थराइटिस और कार्डियक प्रॉब्लम तो एक ऐसा हो गया है कि जैसे सर्दी जुकाम बुखार की बातें हों, यानी कि एक जो नी रिप्लेसमेंट जो कहा जाता था वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट सर्जरी, बट नाउअडेज दिस इज द वेरी सिंपल फॉर्मेट में आ रहा है। So thank you very much, and thanks to Dr. Pooja madam for organizing an excellent talk and webinar, and a number of the people obviously they will be take the benefit of this delivery. So thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for being with us, and I just hope that many of us would have taken benefit from your, today's talk. It was really a detailed and thorough lecture. Thank you so much once again on behalf of ISF.
Thank you so much. Prestige is all mine. Thank you.